What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today we'll be talking about the Elimination Chamber going on in Toronto. We're getting closer and closer to the event, with the events unfolding on Monday Night Raw, and today we'll be looking towards the 4 matches taking place on the card. Unfortunately, what we won't be talking about is any title defense. If you look at the card, there isn't any at all. On Monday Night Raw, we saw 2 title defenses as Lyra Valkyria defended her Intercontinental Championship against Dakota Kai, while Bianca Belair and Naomi defended the tag team titles against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So I actually waited to put out this video until after Raw because I thought they would be adding a 5th match to kind of complete the card. That doesn't seem to be the case. They're going to be sticking with 4 matches, and unfortunately, there really is no title defenses, even though there's 2 champions appearing on the show. With that said, let's start off with the first match on the card, as Sami Zayn takes on Kevin Owens in an unsanctioned street fight. Now, for those that remember 2002 at SummerSlam, when Shawn Michaels took on Triple H in an unsanctioned fight, this match has everything going for it, and I'm excited to see what Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens can do. Now, for those that remember back in their old days in ROH, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn would put on clinics every time they got into the ring with each other, whether it was tag teaming or going one-on-one. There was the Mask Against Career match. There was the ladder match for the ROH title. They put their bodies on the line. They were throwing each other over the ropes. They were bringing every single weapon they could possibly think of. They were smashing each other's bodies against any type of equipment they could find. They were chucking pieces of the set at each other. It was absolutely wild. So now fast forward to 10 plus years in the WWE and multiple interactions with each other, whether it's winning the tag team titles at the main event at WrestleMania 39 or going head to head with each other throughout several bouts. Now, I will point out that yes, they are older, they have had multiple injuries each, and they have families to take care of now, so I don't expect them to go all out the way they did in ROH. But that doesn't mean they don't have things they can pull out for this one. And when you think about it, they're going to be in Toronto, in their home country, so they're going to do everything possible to get the crowd on their feet. I think that this match has match of the night potential. I think that they're going to do everything they can to get the crowd going, and I think it's the perfect match to open up the night because it could upstage anything that it follows. Now, as far as who I think is going to win this match, it's really tough to tell because of how passionate Sami Zayn is during these interviews and these promos that they're having, and how deranged Kevin Owens is coming off. So if I had to take a guess, I'd go with Kevin Owens just because I think he has more to gain from this. And I don't think that this feud ends just at one match. I think that it'll extend to WrestleMania and even past it. For this match, I would go with Kevin Owens. I think that, again, he has much more to gain from it than Sami Zayn, and the big payoff is at either WrestleMania or beyond that, where Sami Zayn eventually gets the final win. So for this one, I'm going to go with Kevin Owens. Next up on the card is the tag team match between Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus taking on Candice LeRae and Nia Jax. Now, to me, this one kind of feels a bit weird because as we were watching the feud between Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton unfold, as Nia Jax was the WWE Women's Champion, and then Tiffany Stratton eventually cashed in and took the title off of her, we were expecting kind of that big payoff to happen where Nia Jax would challenge Tiffany Stratton and it would lead to this little mini feud between each other, but that never really happened. We got Nia Jax on Raw attacking Rhea Ripley and making a challenge for her title, and it just felt disconnected. So fast forward a couple weeks later on SmackDown, we have Nia Jax engaging again with Tiffany Stratton, challenging for the title in a losing effort. So at the Elimination Chamber, we're going to have Trish Stratus returning. She's from Toronto. The show's in Toronto. It makes sense. And they're going to take on the team of Nia Jax and Candice LeRae, who have been teaming and shown together for multiple weeks now. So that makes sense. But for me, it kind of feels weird that the big payoff between the feud of Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax is just this tag team match that means really nothing. The title's not on the line. It's kind of just a little bitter feud going on. And from where I see it, I think that because Trish Stratus is the hometown hero from Toronto and they're bringing her back for the show and Tiffany Stratton is the champion, I don't see them losing the match. I think that they need to win this match more than Nia Jax and Candice LeRae do. Now, the big caveat here is, does Charlotte Flair have any influence in the match, or does she even show up at all? This one feels like it could be the shortest match on the card just because of how big the Elimination Chamber matches are and how big the Unsanctioned fight is. So I don't see this match going on for too long, and I think they're just going to give it to the baby faces for this one to get the Toronto crowd going. All right, so moving on to the 2 Elimination Chamber matches, and it it just feels weird. There's no fifth match here. There's no kind of break between the two other matches and these two. I really wish that there would have been a championship match thrown in there. I think Shinsuke Nakamura would have had a lot to gain from having a big PLE match to defend his title, which we haven't seen him do in quite a while now. And I think that one of the matches where Lyra Valkyria could have defended her IC title, or the Raw after Elimination Chamber where it's Rhea Ripley defending against Iyo Sky, or it's the War Raiders defending against the Creed brothers. One of those matches could have been on the Elimination Chamber, and I don't really know why it wasn't included, especially considering that Rhea is one of the bigger draws in the women's division, and they could have gained a lot for including her on the show, but for whatever reason, they decided to put that on the Raw after Elimination Chamber instead. To me, makes absolutely no sense, but again, the Elimination Chamber matches will eat up a big chunk of the show, if not half of the show itself, so they decided to include it on the Raw right after Elimination Chamber. All right, so moving on to the women's Elimination Chamber match, we have 6 women competing for a chance to take on Rhea Ripley or Iyo Sky, depending on how their match goes on Raw right after the Elimination Chamber. And those 6 women are Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, and Bayley. So the interesting thing about this Elimination Chamber match is that it's fresh off the Liv Morgan Raquel Rodriguez tag team title win. We also have Alexa Bliss returning to the Elimination Chamber after a couple years off. She has some experience there. She's won an Elimination Chamber, and it's going to be interesting to see whether she brings back that psychotic side that turns the Elimination Chamber into her playground. And then we have Bayley, who feels like the underdog and has something to prove, but she's one of the most experienced women in the ring, and she might have one of the best chances to win the whole thing. And then you have Roxanne Perez, the one that nobody expects to really win but have a great showing. Personally, I think she's going to have a performance that is similar to what we saw in the Royal Rumble, where she participates for a lengthy period of time. She does a whole bunch of spots. She might even eliminate Bayley, and she doesn't win the match, but she has a great showing to further boost up her stock on Monday Night Raw. Now, as for who I think is going to win this match, this one's really tough to decide because there's so many different possibilities that could happen. There's Bayley that could shock everyone and pull out a win. There's Roxanne Perez, who, as I mentioned, could be the biggest underdog in the match and shock everyone as well. And then there's Liv Morgan, who I don't think anyone wants to see her take on Rhea Ripley for the 1 millionth time, but it's a big possibility. Then again, we do have Liv Morgan's interaction with Bianca Belair and Naomi and the whole tag team title situation where they won the tag team titles off of Bianca and Naomi on Monday Night Raw. So maybe there's that bit of interaction where they end up eliminating each other one by one and take each other out of the equation to set up that rematch at WrestleMania 41. For me, I think the biggest wild card in this match is Alexa Bliss because there's really nothing going on for her since her return. Although they're trying to establish her place on SmackDown and Rhea Ripley is on Monday Night Raw, I think there's a good opportunity to get her into the mix there. And if she doesn't end up winning, then it's a WrestleMania showcase for her. She looks good in the match, and then she moves back over to SmackDown to either challenge the SmackDown Women's Champion or maybe even the mid-card champion, or even set up a situation where she involves herself with the Wyatt Six. Now, as for who I think's personally going to win, as I started recording this video, I still didn't make up my mind who I thought was going to win because I personally don't know. I look at every woman involved in this match, and I can make a case for each one to win and go on to WrestleMania 41 to take on either Rhea Ripley or Iyo Sky. If I really had to guess, I would probably go with my gut and take Alexa Bliss to win this match. I think she has the most to gain out of everyone involved. With the most to gain, I'm going with Alexa Bliss to win this one. And now that brings us to the final match of the night, which is the Men's Elimination Chamber featuring Damian Priest, Logan Paul, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and the one and only John Cena. Now, this Elimination Chamber is possibly one of the most star-studded lineups. We have John Cena making his final Elimination Chamber appearance ever. We have CM Punk in there trying to aim for that WrestleMania main event that has eluded him his entire career. We have Seth Rollins, we have Drew McIntyre, we have Logan Paul, who might be the biggest wild card in the match, and then we have Damian Priest, who the company is trying to really make a push for him to be their next big star, and this is his biggest moment that he could possibly have outside of winning the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 40. This is a big opportunity for him to have a big appearance again in WrestleMania 41. So to get to this match, every single participant except for John Cena, had to win a qualifier match on either Raw or SmackDown. So Seth Rollins had to beat Finn Balor, CM Punk had to beat Sami Zayn, Logan Paul had to defeat Rey Mysterio, and then over on the SmackDown side, for whatever reason, the two participants in Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre had to win triple threat matches. Damian Priest had to beat both Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu, possibly the worst matchup you could find yourself in. And then Drew McIntyre had to defeat LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. Now, as for John Cena, he didn't have to defeat anyone. He kind of just went out there after the Royal Rumble and claimed his participation at the Elimination Chamber, saying he earned his spots and that he feels he doesn't have to prove that he needs to qualify for that match. And they kind of just gave it to him. Now, when you look at this match, there are many rivalries happening all at once. You have the newly established rivalry between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre after what transpired at the Royal Rumble. Then you have CM Punk and Seth Rollins. For obvious reasons, these two guys have been trading words, trading fists back and forth on Monday Night Raw. And then you have the wild cards like a Logan Paul, who you don't really know what he's going to do. He's probably going to be up to some antics in his pods, drawing with his little Sharpie, and then coming out and doing a couple spots here and there. I will say that if you look back at previous Elimination Chamber matches that Logan Paul was in, he's always done something shady after being eliminated. So I will say that once he is eliminated, and I will say he will be eliminated because he's not going to win the match. So look out for Logan Paul, because once he does get eliminated, he's going to do something shady to cost someone their chance at WrestleMania 41. Another person I don't see winning the Elimination Chamber this year is unfortunately Damian Priest. I think they're making great strides to make him look like a fierce top competitor on the SmackDown brand, and I do think he'll get his chance at a WWE Undisputed title shot further down the line. I don't think WrestleMania 41 is the right place for that to happen. I think that could go down later on down the line. So for that reason, I don't see him winning, and I see him getting eliminated possibly first or maybe early on second or third. And then that leaves us to the four that are really making waves. You have Drew, you have Seth, you have Punk, and you have Cena. And when it comes to determining who I think is going to win between those four, that really is one of the biggest coin tosses going into the night. On one hand, you have Drew McIntyre, who could win the second Elimination Chamber match in a row. He won it last year, went on to challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, and ended up winning it before losing it after a good 5 minutes and 27 seconds, or whatever the hell it was. You have Seth Rollins, who could win the Elimination Chamber, walk into WrestleMania 41, and challenge for the WWE Undisputed Championship, which is a contrast to him walking into WrestleMania 40 as a champion and walking out a loser. Then you have John Cena, who really feels like this might be one of his last chances to get a WWE Undisputed Championship run and surpassing the legendary Ric Flair. But again, it's one of those things where I don't think he needs to do it at the Elimination Chamber and win the 17th title at WrestleMania 41. I think that because he's going to be here for the rest of the year, they could extend that beyond WrestleMania 41 and have it win later. For example, maybe SummerSlam could be the perfect opportunity for him to win that championship and make SummerSlam feel like a grand experience. And finally, that brings us to CM Punk, the one that really wants that WrestleMania main event and will stop at nothing to get to it, which could lead to something interesting happening here. Now, we all know that he has the favor from Paul Heyman that he could cash in at any time, and we still don't know what exactly that favor is. Maybe he doesn't even know what that favor is yet. But what's really interesting here is that what's supposed to happen during the night at Elimination Chamber is that Cody Rhodes is going to give his answer to The Rock, whether he wants to give him his soul and become The Rock's champion, the corporate champion. My money is on him saying no, which leads me to believe that The Rock will then handpick the person that wins the Elimination Chamber and may even play a part in who wins that Elimination Chamber match. Now let's get to predicting the winner of the match and quite possibly the person that The Rock chooses to win and go on to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41. And I'm going to pick CM Punk for this one and also be the one to take The Rock up on his offer and become The Rock's champion, the corporate champion, and throw everyone for a loop. Now, I was on the fence about this one a little bit because I thought that John Cena could fit the mold perfectly. I thought the way that he got into the Elimination Chamber match was a bit heelish in the sense that he didn't need to fight for it. He felt that it was deserved, that it was earned, even though it came off the cusp of him losing the Royal Rumble. But the more I thought about it, the more I started to piece things together. it made a little more sense for CM Punk to fit into this role. Now, if you go back to his ROH days, he actually won the ROH championship by turning heel and going full corporation mode. He came out with the ROH championship during a celebration in a full suit, and ironically, if you go back and watch that, he came out to Cult of Personality, which is what he's using now. So I think it would be kind of funny if he replicated what he did in ROH once again, because he kind of does that a lot. And he comes out the next night on Monday Night Raw as The Rock's handpicked person to become the corporate champion. Now, I get it. This is a bit of armchair booking. I don't really know if that's going to happen. It's kind of a situation where I hope it does. And at the same time, I hope it doesn't, because it goes against everything that Punk has stood by for X amount of years. And it's also kind of funny that he's doing it with The Rock, which we all know the history between the two further back then. But at the same time, I do think it would be kind of interesting to switch things up a bit and keep us on the edge of our seats, not knowing what's going to happen, because lately it's felt kind of predictable, and this would be one of the most unpredictable things we can think of. So that's my prediction for the match. I'm going to go with CM Punk. I'm going to say that The Rock does play a part in it and that CM Punk sides with The Rock. I could be wrong. Maybe it's not such a good idea to turn CM Punk heel when he's one of your top 3 merch sellers. Then again, I could say the same thing for Cody Rhodes, saying no to The Rock because he's one of the top 3 merch sellers, and maybe you don't want to turn someone from face to heel when they're just selling so much merch off the shelves. And as I mentioned before, the Elimination Chamber for the men's side, I don't think Cody Rhodes is going to agree to sell his soul to the devil, The Rock. I think that he's going to turn him down, and it's going to set up the big matchup for WrestleMania 41 for whoever decides to take The Rock up on his offer. I just really don't see Cody going full Homelander just yet. I think that could happen further down the line. I really do hope it happens, because if you've seen heel Cody Rhodes, it's some of his best work, and I think the fans would love it to see it in the WWE. But for now, I just don't see it happening. I think he's going to turn down The Rock. It's going to lead to some shenanigans, and then The Rock will likely play a part towards the finish of the night. All right, that does it for this video, and I'm curious to know what you think is going to happen at this year's Elimination Chamber in Toronto. Be sure to leave those comments down below, and I'll read every single one. Let me know what your predictions are, who you think is going to win, who's going to lose, what shenanigans are going to happen. Is Cody going to sell his soul? Is he going to be best friends with The Rock? Are their mothers going to remain best friends after the show is all over? Are their kids going to continue to play hopscotch together at the playground? We don't know, but I'm curious to know what you think. If you like this video, click thumbs up, and if you really liked it, hit subscribe. Be sure to click that bell to receive all notifications on future videos, and as always, remember to be kind to one another and stay safe.